Week 2 studs and duds. Let's get it started. Starting off with the leader of the offense, the quarterback. I'm recording this Sunday night, so if people go off in the Sunday night game or the Monday night game, they won't be on this list. We'll talk about them later. For now, let's start off with the quarterback. Number 1, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones went off. He was having an awful game. And then they came back. 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, over 300 yards passing. He has almost 32 fantasy points. That's good. Number 2, we got Kirk Cousins with 29.5 going up against that vaunted Philadelphia Eagles. He can't win on prime time, but he can clearly have a good game. Quarterback 2 as of right now. Quarterback 3, the man you can't tell whether or not he's running for office or going to throw you a pass, Russell Wilson. 26.9 fantasy points. And 4th, we got Jalen Hurts, 26 points. Joshua Dobbs. This dude is on a team that I was under the impression was tanking. And though they may still be tanking, kid played pretty well. Not too bad. That's the top 5. Honorable mentions to Jared Goff, Josh Allen, and Geno Smith, who all had 23 fantasy points. Running back studs. I had a couple misses on this one. Brian Robinson. He had 28.9 points. He went absolutely nuts against Denver. I did not see that coming. I was really worried about him coming into this game. He was pretty meh last week. I was concerned about this next guy too, but clearly I didn't know what the heck I was talking about. Kyron Williams, 28 fantasy points. This dude went absolutely nuts. 10 targets, 6 receptions. That is crazy for a running back. Those are wide receiver numbers. 52 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown, 48 receiving yards, and 6 receptions plus a receiving touchdown. This dude was getting used all over the field. I definitely underestimated how much they would like to use him. Oh yeah, I also didn't know Cam Akers was gonna be deactivated. He had all the work to himself. Side note, I am absolutely stoked about it. I have him on my Dynasty League. I got him in the 18th round in a startup. Let's go. The new starting running back for the Los Angeles Rams. I am so stoked. In 3rd place, we have Saquon Barkley with 27.2. Saquon had a great game, but unfortunately, he got injured. Let's check out the tweet. Per Bleacher Report, Saquon Barkley underwent an x-ray on his right ankle following the Giants' win. Per Jordan Raynon, x-rays on Saquon Barkley's ankle came back negative and he will undergo an MRI on Monday. This is extremely unfortunate, obviously. Love Saquon. Hope you get better soon. I've had a couple doctors that I trust come out and say they think that it could be a high ankle sprain. Again, I am not a doctor, but people that I trust have indicated that it looks like it could be a high ankle sprain. Obviously, we'll wait to see what information comes out, but this is really sad. Love Saquon. Get better soon, bro. The Giants need you. Next up, we have DeAndre Swift with a surprising 27 fantasy points. They ran this dude into the ground on Thursday. 175 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. Man, I did not see that coming. I wonder what the split's gonna be like when Kenneth Gainwell gets back. Do y'all think that he keeps the job? Let me know down in the comments. Number 5, we got Christian McCaffrey, 22.5 points. And then honorable mention, Rachaad White, 21.3. Bijan Robinson, 21.2. Zach Moss, a crazy good ad this week, 20.7. And then Tony Pollard, James Cook, and Derrick Henry with right below 20 fantasy points. Wide receiver studs for week 2. Sitting at the top of the list, Keenan Allen. He had himself a day. 8 receptions, 111 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Absolutely beastly. But the talk of the town, Puka Nacua, he went absolutely nuclear. Ugh, he was going against me too. Goodness gracious. 20 targets, 15 receptions. In what world does a rookie get 15 receptions in a game? 147 receiving yards. This dude absolutely torched the San Francisco 49ers. I love Puka Nacua, but I did not think that he was going to torch the Niners. This was impressive. If you can do this against the Niners, you can do this against anybody. Mike Evans showing the Bucs why they should have signed him. 29.1 fantasy points, 6 receptions, 171 yards, and a touchdown. Bucs, please tell me, why won't you sign Mike Evans? Is he asking for Justin Jefferson money? What is going on? I don't even know if he wants to be here now because we didn't get a contract at the end of the season. Somebody's going to see this and think, man, we'll pay him. And Baker's not looking bad. If we could keep Mike Evans, that'd be really good. Number 4, a guy I told y'all to buy low on, T. Higgins with 28.9. He went nuts in the touchdown department. He had 2 of them things. 8 receptions, 89 yards. That's how you do it. This next guy is a sleeper. I told you to draft him, tried to get you to pick him up off the waivers, wanted you to start him last week, and I asked you to start him this week. I started this man almost everywhere. Nico Collins. I've been telling y'all about this dude. This man is 6'4", 215. With a rookie quarterback. He is the best receiver that kid's got. 9 targets, 7 receptions, 146 yards and a touchdown. And if you don't believe that I started him, check the tape. Right here, boom, 3 leagues, baby. That's my baby goat league. That's my King Henry league. And that is the Oracle. Gotta have a clever team name. And a picture. It's just chef's kiss. I hope y'all tailed me because Nico Collins is no longer cheap and or free. People are grabbing him everywhere. Outside the top 5, Tyler Lockett with 25.9. CeeDee Lamb with 25.3. Justin Jefferson with 24.9. Josh Reynolds, which I should have picked up in every league and did not. 23.6. Devonta Smith, 23. Deebo Samuel, 22. Christian Kirk, 22. Gabe Davis, 21. Devontae Adams, 20. Brandon Johnson, a dude I've never heard of, 20.6. Devontae Adams, 20.4. Dang, 15 wide receivers had 20 points this week? That's pretty good. Tight end studs for week 2. TJ Hawkinson, he had 25.6. That'll happen when you have 2 touchdowns. Number 2, Mark Andrews. Welcome back. 15.5 fantasy points. I got him in 3 leagues. Thank God you're back. Number 3, we got Darren Waller. Told y'all to start him. Number 4, Travis Kelce. 12.6. Welcome back. And number 5, we got Evan Ingram. Honorable mention, Zach Ertz at 11.6. And Sam Laporta. Also told y'all to start him. 11.3. Stud defenses. Side note, number 1 was my sleeper. Man, it feels good. How about them Tampa Bay Buccaneers? 6 sacks, 2 picks, and a touchdown. And they only allowed 17 points. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Obviously, them Cowboys did their thing. 15. Seattle Seahawks did work. 13. Buffalo Bills, pretty good. 10. Kansas City with 10. Against Jacksonville, 10's pretty good. Week 2, quarterback duds. Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence went against Patrick Mahomes in what was expected to be a high-flying back-and-forth affair. And he barely got over 200 yards and only rushed for 26 yards. That's 8 fantasy points. You're killing me, Smalls. I expected more from the prince that was promised. I'll include Brock Purdy here. He's on the fringe, mainly because I told you to start him. I figured he would have 202. Well, he had 201, and the one was a rushing touchdown, so at least that was a little bit better. And everything 16 and above, I don't really consider a, quote, bust. Like, Justin Fields had 16 points. That wasn't a great game, but, I mean, I'm not crushing him over it. 200 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He also had a rushing touchdown, too. Joe Burrow might have disappointed again, but I wouldn't call him a bust. Week 2 running back bust. This one wasn't really a bust, but the fact that he became inactive before the game, surprisingly, and now he's on trading block, just wanted to mention that. It was definitely a bust of a draft pick, unless he goes somewhere crazy like the Chiefs or something. All right, back to actual bust. Breece Hall. Plenty of y'all started Breece Hall thinking that he was going to be crazy electric. Well, he was not. 4 carries for 9 yards. That Dallas Cowboys defense is fierce. Next up, Joshua Kelly. Fantasy people everywhere were telling you that you needed to start him. He had 13 carries for 39 yards. Yikes. No work in the receiving game. Can't wait for Eckler to get back. Tyler Algier I thought would be a good start, but he got the carries that I wanted. He just didn't do as much with them as I thought he would. Also, he didn't get in the end zone. He's a backup running back for a reason. 16 carries for 48 yards. That's 3 yards a carry. That's not good. He also only had 4 fantasy points. Didn't get involved in a receiving game at all. This was a big one. Alexander Madison. Now, I know the Philadelphia Eagles defense is elite, but man, you had 8 carries for 28 yards. That is trash. He also had 3 receptions, which was great. This led to 4 fantasy points. My worry was all the fumbling. I believe he fumbled 2 or 3 times. I think 2 of them counted. You got to hold on to the ball, man. There's nobody right now that can take your job, I don't think. But that's really the only reason why you're going to be started. Alexander Madison right now is not a good look. I'm very curious to see what he can do against the Chargers. The Chargers don't scare me from a run defense standpoint. So if he can't do something against them, we might have a problem. Next up, Dameon Pierce. Oh man, this was bad. 15 carries for 31 yards, 2 receptions for 4 yards. Oh my gosh, that's so bad. 5 fantasy points. This is bad. People were drafting him in like the 5th, 6th round. Yikes. Luckily, I don't have him anywhere, but for all of you that do, I'm starting to get a little bit concerned. A.J. Dillon, as soon as Aaron Jones went down, everybody said A.J. Dillon was gonna pop off. Well, he got the opportunities, he just didn't do anything with them. 15 carries for 55 yards, 1 reception, 6 fantasy points. Get out of here. Khalil Herbert, the Chicago Bears starter. I use air quotes because he's splitting work at the moment, not just with another running back, but also with the quarterback. How valuable is the starting running back going to be when the starting quarterback's going to be getting half the work? Travis Etienne. Oh, rough game. 12 carries for 40 yards, 2 receptions for 2 yards. Man, this is brutal all the way around for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I told somebody to trade him away. I'm curious if they did it. If you're that person and you're watching this, let me know down below. I'm curious to know what you did. Next up, Javonte Williams. Man, there's a lot of running back busts today. 12 carries for 44 yards, 2 receptions for 14 yards. He had 7 fantasy points. See, here's the thing, guys. I'm not disappointed with Javonte Williams. This is what I expected Javonte Williams to do. He's coming off of a major surgery. A bunch of people were acting like he was just gonna come back and ball out. Guys, major surgery. I'm impressed he's on the field and getting the work he's getting. So this might be a bust, but I'm just happy he's out there and he's healthy because he's going to ball out. It's just not going to happen anytime soon. Isaiah Pacheco with 8 points. 8 points for a running back is meh. It's not the worst thing in the world, but in a full point PPR. Here's the thing, 12 carries for 70 yards. I like that. 5.8 yards a carry. That is good. He only had 1 reception though, so that's going to limit his upside. I think this is a fine day. This last one is not a bust per se because they had 10 points, but this is bad. 9 carries for -2 yards. Bro, you're one of the best running backs in the league and you got -2 yards? Dog. I thought you were trying to get paid. Negative yards don't get you paid. It's supposed to be a contract year for you, homie. Anyways, 5 receptions for 51 yards kept him afloat. So the receiving game saved him, but the rushing game, negative yards, gross. And anything above that 10 fantasy points, I'm not calling you a bust. You just had a meh game. Week 2, wide receiver busts. Romeo Doubs. Now, he's not an elite player by any means, but he did have 2 touchdowns last year and plenty of people were starting him. 2 receptions for 30 yards, 5 fantasy points. Yikes. Jahan Dotson had about the same production. 3 receptions for 22 yards, 5 fantasy points. Bad. Going up against Denver, though. This is where it gets bad. Calvin Ridley in a matchup that was supposed to be high-flying. A back-and-forth affair between Trevor Lawrence and Patrick Mahomes. I was expecting 50 points in this matchup. Jaguars, what happened? Calvin Ridley, 2 receptions for 32 yards. Gross. He had 8 targets. Honestly, I think what's bugging me the most is he ruined my parlay. I had a good thing going and Anyways, 5 fantasy points. Gross. A.J. Brown. Homie was throwing a fit on the sideline. After I look at his stat line, I kind of can understand. Still a little bit ridiculous though. 4 receptions for 29 yards. He only had 6 targets. Last week, I think he had 10 targets. Finished with 6 fantasy points. He's a big time receiver and big time receivers want to get targeted more, but they won the game. Brandon Ayuk only had 3 receptions for 43 yards. He did have 6 targets, but only 7 fantasy points. Really came back to earth on this one. I came out with a buy or sell video a couple days ago. I'm curious if any of y'all sold Brandon Ayuk. Let me know down in the comments. DeAndre Hopkins is kind of a bust. He came into this game banged up. 4 for 40 is not bad. I actually think that's okay considering I wasn't expecting him to do very much. But I do have a couple friends that played him and they're upset. Well, he had an ankle sprain, so it kind of makes sense. This one hurts some people though. It's been a bad couple weeks for this guy. Jamar Chase, one of the most elite receivers in the league, cannot get it on track. He did have 8 targets, but he only turned that into 5 receptions for 31 yards. Yikes. That's 8 fantasy points, people. If you have him, you probably drafted him in the top 3. And 8 points last week and 8 points this week probably wasn't what you were signing up for. I think brighter days are ahead, but still a good buy low. Week 2 tight end duds. This guy pretty much lives here. Kyle Pitts, 2 receptions for 15 yards. At least he had 5 targets this time. 3 fantasy points. Yikes. Tyler Higbee, 3 receptions for 12 yards. That's gross. I know you were going against those 49ers, but still 4 fantasy points. Tighten up. George Kittle, another sad performance. 3 receptions for 30 yards. Oh man, George Kittle is such a talented tight end, but because he blocks so well, he's never going to be used enough in the receiving game. This is why I can't draft him anymore. He's going to have blow up games though. When they're going to come, I don't know, but he's going to have really good games. He does every year. This just wasn't one of them. Week 2 defensive busts. The New York Giants. Bro, y'all were facing the Cardinals. And you got no defensive stats at all? Not even a sack? No fumble? No picks? And you allowed 28 points? Bro, that's -2 fantasy points. What are we doing here? Also, Broncos. What are we doing? I mean, you're better than the Giants. The competition was better, so I mean, I guess it makes sense. You had 4 sacks, which is good, but you allowed 35 points. Come on, tighten up. 49ers defense, you got 4 fantasy points? Bro, you're the 49ers. The Rams didn't have Cooper Kupp. They had Puka Nacua. You couldn't find where Puka Nacua was? That kid is nice, though. He's good. Now that I've gone through my studs and duds, I gotta go back and break down some film. The numbers are a little too surface for me. I gotta do a deeper dive to see what actually happened. I'll be making a video with my opinions and my takeaways of week 2. You're gonna wanna check that out. Click right here. I'll see you soon.